Good evening. I'm Tana Clues, CEO of the New Hampshire Women's Foundation. And welcome to our third annual gala and our first virtual gala. What a strange experience to be talking to you through your telephones and televisions. I so wish we could be physically together tonight. It would be wonderful to see your smiling faces and watch you laugh or not laugh at my attempt to make light of this very strange situation we find ourselves in. I promise you that this is more awkward for me than it is for you. This gala has become a wonderful tradition, an opportunity to catch up with old friends, honor trailblazing women, celebrate the work of the Women's Foundation, and an opportunity for you to invest in us so that we can better invest in women and girls in New Hampshire. Our gala is one heck of a good party, but alas, being together physically isn't in the cards for us this year. But I promise that we'll be back next year, or maybe the year after that. But I hope wherever you're watching this program tonight, that you've opened up your gala box, made yourself a cocktail, and are ready to celebrate this year's Trailblazing Women. In order to create community, even virtually, we'd ask that you please take a photo of your gala watching party, like Megan is doing here. You can post it to Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and please use the hashtag NHWF Gala. We'll be showing those photos at the end of the program. And since tonight is a fundraiser, I would not be doing my job if I didn't tell you now and throughout the evening that your support of the Women's Foundation is greatly appreciated. As you know, much has changed in the past few months, and most nonprofit organizations, including us, have had to cancel or delay fundraising events and have lowered our income expectations this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Tonight, we have a goal of raising $60,000, which is considerably less than past galas, but we hope that you'll help us reach that goal. We've made giving tonight super easy. You can visit our website, nhwomensfoundation.org. You can call our office, where Ellen Koenig and Allison Hawkins are standing by to take your call and talk to you for a while. Or you can text NHWF GALA, New Hampshire Women's Foundation Gala, NHWF Gala, to 44321. It's super easy. You just open your phone, you go to the place where you'd normally text messages, you put in 44321 into the address field, and then you type in your message, NHWF GALA. Don't worry, you have an hour to make that donation. Plenty of time. Tonight would not be possible without the hard work of our staff and our gala committee. I am grateful to our co-chairs, Betty Tamposi, Joe Keefe, and Dan Weeks, and to our committee members, Mary Jo Brown, Linda Johnson, Allison Potter, Morris Sullivan, Kristen Van Ostern, and Katie Wheeler. I also want to give a special shout out to our staff, in particular, Karen Tebenhoff and Crystal Parody, who put in incredibly long hours to make this possible. This takes so much time and energy, but I am certain that by the end of this, you'll see why we think we have put together an extraordinary program. I also want to thank our corporate sponsors, Dartmouth Hitchcock, Saltwater, McLean Middleton, Whipflea, Pitt Productions, and the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. And to our AmplifiHER sponsors, Jeff and Martha Fuller-Clark, Sue and Bob Thorson, Bobby Sweet, and John Rauh. And to all of our other individual sponsors, thank you. Tonight is a celebration, an opportunity to elevate the stories of women and organizations who have been champions of gender equality. But before we continue with our program, I want to take a few minutes to address the killing of Black men and women by police in the past few months. They are just a few of the many unarmed Black brothers and sisters whose lives have been violently cut short by police or former police. And although their deaths are finally being made visible for all of us to see, we know that thousands of Black people, many of them women, girls, trans, or gender non-conforming individuals, die silently before their time each year in the United States because of racist policies that deny people of color adequate health care, safe housing, clean air and water, and equal opportunity. Make no mistake, there cannot be gender justice without racial justice. Earlier this month, the Women's Foundation released a statement of solidarity with our sisters at the Women's Funding Network, condemning police brutality. And we know that the work extends far beyond policing and criminal justice. You can view that statement in your program and on our website if you'd like to take a look. We stand with the Black community in the affirmation that Black lives matter, and we vow to work with all who envision a world free from institutional racism and patriarchy. Now is not a time to be silent. We must use our voices, we must use our money, and we must use our votes. We cannot say that we aren't racist. We have to do more than that. We must actively partake in learning to become anti-racist. We have a wonderful program for you tonight. I'm certain that you're going to enjoy it. First up, we have two talented students from Portsmouth Music and Arts Center, Manu Ritchie and Gretchen Green. PMAC is a 2019 grantee of the Women's Foundation, and we are so pleased to showcase these young women tonight.
She just wants to be beautiful. She goes unnoticed. She knows no limit. She craves attention. She praises an image. She prays to be sculpted by the sculptor. Oh, she don't see the light that's shining deeper than the eyes can find. Maybe we have made her blind, so she tries to cover up her pain and cut her woes away. 'Cause covered girls don't cry after the face is made. But there's a hope that's waiting for you in the dark. You should know you're beautiful just the way you are. You don't have to change a thing, the world could change its heart. No scars to your beautiful, with stars and we're beautiful. So she's starving, you know, cover girls eat nothing. She says beauty is pain and there's beauty in everything. What's a little bit of hunger? I can go a little while longer. She fades away. She don't see her perfect. She don't understand she's worth it. All that beauty goes deeper than the surface. You should know you're beautiful just the way you are. You don't have to change a thing, the world could change its heart. No scars to your beautiful, we're stars and we're beautiful.
Wasn't that incredible? Thank you, PMAC, and especially to Manu and Gretchen for your incredible performance. It's truly, truly impressive. Next up, we get to celebrate our 2020 Trailblazers. You know, one of my favorite parts of this job is being able to elevate the stories of what many would see as ordinary women who are, in fact, extraordinary. Our 2020 Trailblazers, Caroline Dillon, Julie Eads, and Dr. Marie Metoyer, have so much to tell us about their stories, about what they did to truly make an impact here in the state. We start with a student in Rochester and go all the way through a lovely woman, Dr. Metoyer, who passed away in March. I hope you'll join with me tonight and listen to their stories and think about how each one of us has the opportunity to truly make an impact, both within our communities, our state, and the world. And now, here is Dan Weeks, New Hampshire Women's Foundation board member and co-chair of tonight's gala.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Weeks, a proud board member of the New Hampshire Women's Foundation and a co-chair of tonight's gala. Friends, we gather in our living rooms across the state and even beyond New Hampshire to honor women who have changed the course of history in New Hampshire in some profound ways. First up is our third annual Trailblazer Awards. Tonight's three trailblazing women, spanning 3 generations, have distinguished themselves in their work on behalf of others and the state that we love. They're courageous, effective, empathetic, and fired by a spirit of equity and justice for all people. Their lasting impact speaks louder than any words we can muster, although we'll do our best tonight. The New Hampshire Women's Foundation is thrilled to congratulate these trailblazing women, to thank them for their tireless work on behalf of our state, and to share their stories directly with you. First up, Caroline Dillon from Rochester, New Hampshire, started blazing trails while she was still in high school. In 2018, near the end of her junior year, Caroline teamed up with State Senator Martha Hennessy to write SB 142, New Hampshire's period poverty bill, which requires all public high schools and middle schools to provide free and accessible hygiene products in girls' and gender-neutral restrooms. In July 2019, U.S. Senator Maggie Hassan named Caroline Granite Stater of the Month in recognition of her advocacy. And last October, she was named High School Student of the Year at Stay Work Play's Rising Star Awards in Manchester, where I had the pleasure of meeting her as a fellow honoree. Caroline is now a rising sophomore at the University of Pennsylvania, where she's studying nursing and continuing her activism for women's health rights. Way to go, Caroline.
Activism doesn't always require a complex personal backstory. In my case, Google sparked my passion. 2 years ago, during my junior year of high school, I was working on a project about inequality for my U.S. history class. My task was to choose a group of people and decide if they had reached equality in our country today. As a young woman interested in pursuing a future career in women's health, I chose to research the struggles of being an American female. Through some late-night Googling, I found the well-known issues like wage gaps and sexual harassment, but I also came across something very new to me: period poverty. In the following hours, I read article after article detailing how many women who already struggled to afford basic necessities were forced to stay home from work or school when their periods arrived. With the cost of menstrual products ranging from $7 to $10, per person per month. This could mean choosing between buying tampons or buying food, and this can cause real financial hardship for low-income households, especially those with multiple menstruating members. Learning about period poverty was eye-opening for me, as I have always been fortunate enough to never have to go without, and I never realized that other people were not as lucky as I am. Once this knowledge was stuck in my brain, I had to think about its implications in my own community. It dawned on me that there were almost certainly girls at my school experiencing period poverty, some of whom were probably risking infection by resorting to using homemade products or reusing supplies. Girls who don't have access to affordable menstrual hygiene products are often forced to skip school and work, meaning they are missing out on valuable education and being able to earn an income that would potentially allow them to be able to purchase the very products they need to attend school or work. It's a vicious cycle with unfair burdens made heavy solely by their gender. During a college visit that summer, I shared my knowledge of period poverty with an interviewer who suggested that I reach out to my state representative to see if we could pass legislation that would benefit the students of our state. I ultimately reached out to New Hampshire State Senator Martha Hennessy, pleading my case for why schools should cover these essential products for students. Senator Hennessy agreed enthusiastically, rallied some allies, and we got to work. While the vast majority of those we educated along the way became allies, like any fight for equality, we faced our share of pushback. Though the work was hard, I reminded myself that there were people struggling with period poverty right now, and they needed help. I kept returning to the phrase, if not me, who? If not now, when? In the end, Senate Bill 142 passed and was signed into law in July of 2019, requiring every public middle and high school in the state of New Hampshire to provide free menstrual hygiene products in the female and gender-neutral restrooms. I'm so grateful for the many champions of women's health that came together to make this happen, including the New Hampshire Women's Foundation, Planned Parenthood of Northern New England, the ACLU, Deb Brooks at Dartmouth, my friends in the New Hampshire House and Senate, Governor Chris Sununu, and many, many others. This fall, I'll start my sophomore year of college at the University of Pennsylvania, where I'm majoring in nursing. I'm looking forward to starting clinical rotations and applying to a PhD program where I'll be able to further commit myself to expanding access to women's health care and making sure that women feel heard and understood by their healthcare providers. I've known I wanted to study nursing since the 4th grade, but as I've reached adulthood and had my own experiences with the systemic barriers women face in the medical community, I am more passionate than ever about becoming a true advocate for my future patients. To everyone here today, I'd like to remind you that if you see something that needs to be fixed, don't wait around for someone else to do it. Being the first to blaze a trail is always hard, but it makes it that much easier for every person who comes behind you. Sometimes trailblazing starts by simply asking a question. What are the issues that people you care about are struggling with? And once you've learned about the challenges there are, what can you do to help your community find a solution? Thank you to the New Hampshire Women's Foundation for recognizing me as a 2020 Trailblazer. It is an honor to be recognized alongside such incredible women. But my question to all of you is this: if not you, who? If not now, when?
Thank you, Caroline. Julie Eads is president of the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund, one of the first community development finance institutions in the country, which she helped to found in 1984. The Community Loan Fund is a remarkable organization. It provides financing and technical assistance to help thousands upon thousands of low-income granite staters stand on their own 2 feet. The organization has loaned or invested substantial resources pooled from families all over the state to help create or preserve more than 10,000 affordable housing units, 3,800 jobs, 4,400 childcare spaces. The list goes on. Just think of that impact. And while Julie would be the last person to say so, none of it would have been possible without her. Julie has received numerous honors and awards, including the prestigious Granite State Award from the University of New Hampshire, Outstanding Woman in Business from the New Hampshire Business Review, the Episcopal Bishop's Award for Humanitarian Service, and the 2012 Ned Gramlich Lifetime Achievement Award for Responsible Finance. She received her BA in History from Swarthmore College and her MBA from the University of New Hampshire. Now, shortly after we selected Julie as a 2020 Trailblazer, it was announced that she is retiring on June 30th, just a few days from now. That coincidence means tonight's honor is not only a well-deserved recognition for her decades of blazing trails for New Hampshire women, but also an early retirement celebration as she plots her next set of adventures. Congratulations, Julie.
As the youngest in my family with 2 older brothers, I wanted to do everything they did. I was a tag-along nuisance. They included me in the side yard wiffle ball games, but I couldn't be part of organized baseball because I was a girl. I figured out early on, in my own youngster way, that these exclusions weren't personal. It was the system. It was the way the rules were written, and I knew it wasn't right and it wasn't fair. Had to learn to channel my anger or be dismissed as hard to get along with. I feel lucky to have found a way to transform that anger into a collective way to help women participate better in our economy. 36 years ago, I got to be part of creating the New Hampshire Community Loan Fund to bring opportunity and more fairness to those who our economic system discounts and excludes. The Community Loan Fund is not labeled a women's rights organization, but it always has been, because the rules of the system make it harder for women to get loans. We made different ways of deciding who is worthy of a loan. We listened and loaned to a survivor of domestic violence with a crashed credit score after seeing that she always paid her own bills. A divorcing woman couldn't get commercial credit to buy out her husband from their auto body shop because it was assumed to be his business. With just one site visit, we saw that she's the leader and the expert, and so we made the loan. Where do we get our capital? From people like you and me. We each control the money in our own savings accounts. The Community Loan Fund was created as a vehicle to combine some of mine and some of your savings and get it to women and others who lack access to financing. Another frustration we have to channel is about childcare. Every study, be it economic or developmental science, says the most important thing we must do is to make sure all children are safe, nurtured, and have high-quality early learning. This correlates positively with every measure of achievement and social norm. Policymakers don't provide childcare the same amounts of funding that other levels of education get. Instead, the responsibility is placed almost totally on women who should magically take care of their kids while still working other jobs. The fact is that parents and children need childcare. Our economy and our society need high-quality childcare. Even before the pandemic hit, there wasn't enough early education in New Hampshire, and most is unaffordable to young families. Providers aren't paid enough to keep their doors open while paying reasonable wages to their teachers, who are usually women. Now the economic disruption is forcing closures. We all need to find ways to keep our local centers to staying open and thriving. I thank you for this honor today and for recognizing Carolyn and Dr. Metoyer. It's great that Trailblazers cut trails, but a path won't stay a path unless a lot of others walk on it too. The Community Loan Fund was created to be a path, to connect us, including everyone listening and watching now, with women and others who can reach their goals only if they have the financing and a little extra know-how to take on their opportunity and succeed. We women want more than just the side yard wiffle ball games. Access to capital puts us in the big leagues where we belong.
Thank you, Julie. Dr. Marie Susan Madison Metoyer was the first African-American female psychiatrist in New Hampshire, devoting decades of service to those less fortunate in community mental health, with a special focus on the health and welfare of women and people of color. Dr. Metoyer was born way back in 1925 in Jersey City, New Jersey, to Dr. Lena Edwards, who was a recipient of the 1964 Medal of Freedom from President Johnson, and to Dr. Lewis Keith Madison. She graduated summa cum laude from Fordham University at a time when women were only allowed to attend campus on weekends, and entered Cornell Medical School at age 20. She was one of the few women there and would become the first African-American woman to earn a medical degree from Cornell. After a career in obstetrics, she retrained as a psychiatrist and followed the call to serve in community mental health care here in Manchester. She retired in 1996 at the age of 70 and dedicated her retirement to women, minorities, and medicine, seeking to promote African-American heritage, racial equity, cultural diversity, and the fine arts. She passed in March 17th of 2020 at the age of 94. In the words of her loving daughter, Adrienne, Dr. Metoyer was a soft-spoken woman of few words, whose appearance belied her impact on the state of New Hampshire, and we all miss her terribly. On a brief personal note, I was blessed to call Dr. Metoyer my friend during the last 5 years of her remarkable life, even as a pen pal of sorts, as we were in regular touch over social media well into her 90s to augment our in-person meetings. Her simple kindness, her dignity, her generosity of spirit will always inspire me. Here to give remarks on behalf of Dr. Metoyer is one of her mentees, Nadine Thompson. Nadine holds a master's in clinical social work from Smith College in Northampton, and on her first residency here in New Hampshire, worked under the supervision of Dr. Metoyer. Nadine is the chair of the New Hampshire Women's Heritage Trail, where she continues her work that she began with Dr. Metoyer. Welcome and thanks, Nadine.
I'm so honored to be here tonight in recognition of Dr. Marie Metoyer, who was a dear friend and someone I'm lucky to have had as a mentor for decades. Tonight, we're honoring Marie as a trailblazer, and that's so appropriate because there are numerous ways that Dr. Metoyer left her mark. She was the first Black woman psychiatrist in the state of New Hampshire, but being the first wasn't what she was concerned about. She was focused on leading by example, bringing others with her, and making sure their work was not forgotten. I met Marie in 1992, when I'd just finished grad school at Smith College and was just beginning my work at Child and Family Services in Manchester. Marie was assigned as my clinical supervisor, and even at the time, I knew how lucky I was as a young Black therapist in New Hampshire to have the first Black psychiatrist in the state as a close role model. Marie and I talked about what it was like to be a Black therapist in New Hampshire, but also what it meant to be a Black woman in the profession that was still so male-dominated. She taught me so much, and I want to pass along some of her wisdom tonight and tell you a little bit more about her. Dr. Metoyer was born in 1925 in Jersey City, New Jersey, to Dr. Lena Edwards and Dr. Lewis Keith Madison, physician parents who had met at Howard Medical School. Marie was the oldest of 6 and followed in her mother's footsteps to become a doctor of obstetrics. Marie and her mother Lena shared a practice on the first floor of their Jersey City row house. And anywhere she walked around the neighborhood, she was greeted with the same, "Hi, Doc." Everyone in the community knew her and knew she was a loving doctor who took care of everyone. Her children shared a story that I think speaks so much to who she was. In the morning hour before she would open her practice downstairs, There would sometimes be a knock at the door. Marie would make a sandwich and hand it to whichever local man had knocked on the door. Folks in the community knew they could come to Marie before work, and she would make them a sandwich with no shame or questions attached. Her young son one morning seemed annoyed and asked, "Mom, you're just encouraging them. They're going to keep coming back. Why are you giving them sandwiches?" Marie answered, "Because they're hungry." "Do you have another question?" That was Marie, crisp and kind. In the 1960s, Marie was compelled by President Kennedy's call for community mental health providers. So she left her Jersey City practice, moved her family to Vermont to pursue a psychiatry degree at the University of Vermont, and settled in Manchester, New Hampshire, where she remained for 4 decades, serving the community in the field of mental health. When I met Marie, she was just a few years from retiring from a lifetime of community service, and her perspective and experience was invaluable to me as a young professional. Anyone who met Marie will describe her quiet presence, but she was also a force to be reckoned with. Marie was Vice President of Cultural Diversity of the Cultural Diversity Task Force of Greater Manchester, where she co-founded People Fest with Nabil Mijali. She was the chair of the Scholarship Awards for the Greater Manchester Black Scholarship Foundation, 3-term secretary of the Manchester NAACP, and served 8 years on the New Hampshire Commission on the Status of Women, where she worked with 4 different governors. Working with all kinds of people was something she was good at. One of her mantras was, observe, listen, speak. She would only speak when she'd observed and listened to what everyone else in the room had said. Define your terms, she often said, whether you think you're clear or not about what someone means, clarify. Know your terms, have crisp thinking. Marie was a woman of quiet but strong faith. And late in her life, she calmly announced to her children that she'd become a 3rd-order member of the Sisters of Mercy, an honorary nun. She once said, "God put me on this earth to become what I could and to do it in his honor." Marie received numerous awards, among them the Susan B. Anthony Award by the Manchester YWCA in 2002, and the Martin Luther King Award from the MLK Coalition in 2008. In 2012, U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen honored Dr. Metoyer for her years of service to the people of New Hampshire. Marie wasn't interested in accolades or honors for herself, but she was committed to making sure that pioneers' contributions to their communities were not forgotten, especially when the pioneers were women, people of color, or other members of marginalized communities. Her commitment to women in this state was exemplified by her entire life, ending with one of our final shared projects, the New Hampshire Women's Heritage Trail. As its most recent chair, I worked with Marie on the New Hampshire Women's Heritage Trail over the past decade. It was so important to her that all of these trailblazing women be recognized, and her persistence paid off. She showed up for the Women's Heritage Trail as she did with all of her other commitments, thoroughly, consistently, and with conviction. She was resilient and passed that resilience on to everyone in the room through her very presence. She was smart, strong, bold, and courageous. On reflecting on what Marie would say to us all in this moment in history, it's hard to know what words she would use because she spoke by living. She took action and she took others along with her. She held people accountable for injustices, but never with bitterness. She saw the community, she saw the humanity in everyone, and was always focused on how to move forward today. She knew she couldn't heal the world by herself, that we all needed to be in it together. I knew she would encourage us all to harness this moment, right wrongs, and move forward together. All of us want to leave a mark in the world with the work that we do. Marie did just that. But she didn't just leave her own mark. She made sure that the marks left by others were remembered and recognized. I'm so proud to have known her and called her my friend. And while she would always fight to recognize others, it's fitting tonight that we recognize her. Thank you, Dr. Metoyer, for your lifetime of service, kindness, and quiet strength. You have passed the torch on to every one of us who you mentored and will keep it going with your loving memory to guide us.
I hope you'll join me in thanking our 2020 Trailblazers for their incredible service to New Hampshire. I also want to mention that a number of Dr. Metoyer's children from around the world are watching us tonight. Thank you for sharing your mother with us. As a philanthropic organization, we have the opportunity to invest in organizations that are on the front lines serving women and girls. You know, only 1.6% of philanthropic dollars go to organizations that serve women and girls in the US. So you can imagine that when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, that those organizations would likely be hit hardest. Soon after COVID-19 hit and we closed our offices, as a staff and board, we started to talk about what it was that we could do. I think it's safe to say that all of us were uncertain of what the future was going to hold. But what we were beginning to hear very clearly was that some of those organizations here in New Hampshire who serve women and girls were in trouble. They were quickly running out of money because, quite frankly, they had no programs that were open. The fundraisers that they were planning to hold that were going to help them subside through the spring and into the fall were canceled. So as a board and a staff, we came together to think about what it was that we could do. And we quickly put together a COVID-19 rapid release fund. We used our grant-making dollars, half of our total grant-making dollars, and got those dollars out the door as quickly as we could. When thinking about the organizations we wanted to send those $10,000 checks to, we had to think about who was going to be stepping in to help them. We knew that there were going to be programs like the Paycheck Protection Program and other nonprofit funds, but what about those organizations that weren't necessarily going to get dollars right away? How could we help them ensure that they were going to be able to keep their staff employed, to pay their bills, until either they were going to have the opportunity to open up or some of those funds were going to get to them? We are so proud to say that in March and April of this year, we released $10,000 to Arts and Reach, Girls on the Run, Girls at Work, Girls Inc., the Circle Program, and the Hospice Health Foundation. Those last two, we sent $5,000 apiece. We were able to do that because every year we set aside our grant-making dollars to help community organizations that support women and girls. Tonight, we hope that you will help us. We have a thermometer that shows how much money we've raised thus far, and quite frankly, we've got a long way to go. This is your opportunity to help step up and help us ensure that we are going to be able to continue to provide the grant dollars that these organizations need. Tonight, we have the opportunity to see one of those grantees, Girls on the Run, who received one of those COVID-19 rapid response grants. Girls on the Run is a wonderful organization, and I bet many of you know girls who've participated. My daughter has participated. We put together a short video for you to be able to take a look at just how important and impactful their work is.
I wanted my daughter to join Girls on the Run because I wanted it to help build her confidence and her self-esteem.
Girls on the Run really is about empowering girls to feel that they can accomplish anything they set their minds to.
we get to run and make new friends.
This program gave me confidence to be able to walk up to someone and say, hey, do you want to be my friend? Do you want to work with me on this project?
Every week we have a different theme, and they're using running as a tool to kind of bring them together, but running is not the main topic of the lesson. When I see girls run in the 5K celebration, not only do I see the girls all running toward one goal, but I see their families and their friends and the community empowered behind them too.
Every single girl that crosses the finish line is a success story. Inevitably, there is a huge smile on her face, and often her parent or her coach that is running with her is equally emotional and quite often teary, because it is powerful.
When I finished that first 5K, I felt like I was a superwoman, like the pinnacle of what you could do as a young kid.
You see the little quietest one at the beginning ends up being a leader at the end.
That's what Girls on the Run is. Being joyful, being confident, loving who they are in their own skin, letting them know that reflection in the mirror is the best reflection ever.
Girls are powerful, and girls are amazing, and girls can be leaders.
All those valuable skills that you need to be a successful adult.
Girls on the Run taught me to never give up and to keep working.
It's definitely helped me in more ways than I probably even know, and it's definitely an important part of why I am who I am today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Betty Tamposi, co-chair of this year's virtual gala with Joe Keefe and Dan Weeks. Each year, the New Hampshire Women's Foundation presents their AmplifiHER Award to someone who's dedicated their personal and professional lives to lifting up women and girls in the Granite State. No one is more fitting of this honor than my dear friend, Mary Rauh. How to describe my dear friend Mary Rauh in just one word? I think an Inuit word, Nuarampok, nails it. Simply put, it's the quality of taking extraordinary pleasure in being alive and delighting in finding that same quality in others. You, Mary Rauh, embody Nuarampok, and it's made being your friend for 30 years one of the extraordinary pleasures of my life. You've taught me the value of serious play and playful seriousness. Back in the 90s, we quickly bonded, as you might remember, after I impishly confessed to you that I was the token Republican woman on a board full of entirely old Republican men, and God love them. You smiled, amused, and said, tell me what it's like to be a token woman on a board like that. And I said, well, it feels a little bit like being a talking dog. I say something straightforward, and their reaction is, now, isn't she cute? She knows how to read a profit and loss statement. Well, that was 30 years ago. And it's because of the leadership that you, Mary Rauh, and so many women here tonight, who I love and admire, that every woman at this gala, no doubt, knows not only how to read a profit and loss statement, but more importantly, knows how to leverage it for the greater good. Let me leave this with you. Mary Rauh, you are one of the most loving and loved people that any of us will ever know. I love you, my friend. And with that, Tavaf Vusasi. Joe, that's Inuit for over to you.
Thank you, Betty. It's great to be co-chairing this event with you and with Dan Weeks, and it's really great to be able to be here tonight on behalf of Mary Rauh and John Rauh, dear friends of mine for many, many years. I actually remember, Mary and John, when you left Cincinnati and moved to New Hampshire in the late 80s. In fact, I think, John, you ran for U.S. Senate about 3 months later, as I can remember. I'm just kidding about that, but I do actually remember something that did happen within months of your arrival in New Hampshire. People like me, who was a candidate for public office at the time, nonprofits throughout this state, fledgling organizations throughout this state working on issues of equality and justice, immediately became beneficiaries of your extraordinary generosity. You have, over the last 30 years, made an extraordinary contribution to the social capital of this state, and your generosity is many-faceted. Is it financial generosity? Absolutely. But it's the generosity of your time. It's the generosity of your thinking, of your willingness to sit down and work through problems, to strategize. It's the generosity of spirit that you have as a couple and as individuals. You really have been a true power couple in the way you empower others. And Mary, as one of that couple and as an extraordinary woman, an extraordinary contributor to this state, whether it's NAMI, whether it's New Hampshire Public Radio, whether it's New Hampshire Legal Services, and of course, Planned Parenthood, the New Hampshire Women's Fund, the New Hampshire Women's Initiative, the New Hampshire Women's Foundation, that where we are tonight celebrating you. You have made an incredibly consequential contribution to the advancement of women and girls, of reproductive health and other issues on behalf of women and girls in the state of New Hampshire. Over the last 30 plus years, you and a small group of women have made an extraordinary difference. So much so that I think you are actually one of the most important women and one of the most vital contributors to our state over the past 30 years. And for that, we all adore you. So with that said, it's my pleasure. In a moment, I'm going to be able to give the award, but it's my pleasure right now to welcome John and Mary to join us.
Thank you very much. Wow. What a privilege to have been with you all this evening. Is an incredible, incredible privilege. I cannot tell you how wonderful these last 25 years have been. There were lots of wonderful years before that, but 25 years ago when I heard Barb Zeckhausen and Molly Shai come back from the Beijing Conference on Women, they motivated us to really get up and move. And we did. And we started small. And now look at this organization and how it's grown. I mean, all we were doing at first was raising money and just trying to focus on organizations that serve women and girls because they weren't getting much charitable support. And look how it's expanded. What's going on now with research and development and all the getting women to run for office and the training, the growth has been phenomenal. And I hope you all realize how great the growth has been and what a privilege it's been to work with you over these years. And I have to leave with what John always says, onward.
Congratulations, Mary.
Thank you, John.
Our entire family.
Thank you, Mary.
Our entire family is so deeply proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
35 years ago, we married.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought our families together.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing.
Yeah.
And Mayor, we have been blessed.
Yes, we have.
With your absolute unselfishness.
Mm-hmm.
You're always there with wisdom, with love, and with support. Your character, your level of empathy, I cannot tell you how lucky I am to be your husband. Thank you. I love you with all my heart.
Thank you for all you do, John. Yes.
Well, while we're wiping away our tears, we're going to share a short tribute video with you.
Now, Mary,
our AmplifiHER Award is given to someone whose life work has been dedicated to women and girls.
Well, Mary and I met when we both were working with the Independent Political Party in Cincinnati, Ohio. What drew me to Mary was, of course, politics, but much more significantly, we shared values.
My father sold life insurance for his living, but he loved service. And so every Sunday, he was what they call a supply minister. At our church, after church services, he always had a meeting and talked about, if we're religious people, what should we be doing about current issues? And I think that taught me a really important lesson about what service means.
One of the really remarkable things about Mary, as well as John, is how they welcome people much younger than them, like us, as more than just friends, as more than just mentees, but really as partners in the work that they are so passionate about.
We're lucky when we can be around people, mentors like Mary, who have phenomenal wisdom and experience, but also impart a faith in those that they're mentoring.
Mary's leadership is somewhat unique, I think. It has to do with encouraging others to lead.
She has always helped build people up. She has encouraged people to apply for jobs, to testify at the legislature.
I think there are certain people who are put on this earth who believe that their life's work is to help and serve other people. So whether it was Mary serving, Planned Parenthood of Northern New England, ensuring that women and girls had access to reproductive health care, or she's getting the call to serve and run for office. It's the way she goes through life, is to step up when there's hard work that needs to be done, to volunteer, to write letters, to call, to encourage. She'll just always be there.
The work that she's done in New Hampshire in myriad issues, and particularly the role of women, has been important.
I was on the National Planned Parenthood Board, and we couldn't get over how difficult it was for so many politicians to get it.
Mary was a founder of the Women's Fund back in 1999.
We thought we need to have something like the charitable fund that focuses on women and girls.
Sometimes I tease Mary that she's the original Women Run program. She has encouraged and trained so many young women and men to run for office.
Mary is a wonderful combination of so many things.
Oh, she's a very loyal friend, a very good friend.
I think Mary is a good role model and also a good mentor of younger women.
She does the hard work, she shows up, and she doesn't ask for any sort of thanks.
Mary has been a wonderful friend and support and mentor.
She is absolutely consistent.
She's humble.
I am forever grateful for those incredible characteristics that she has.
One of the reasons why the Women's Foundation has excelled and grown is because we have people, volunteers and board members like Mary, who are consistent and have a strong belief that women and girls should be empowered to reach their full potential.
What I'm most proud of is the growth, the way it's expanded and grown and involved more and more people, including men. That's really exciting.
I think Mary's legacy will center on her unselfishness as a leader. If I were to use one word to describe my dear partner, and I am blessed.
I'm blessed.
It would be unselfish.
We are so pleased to be giving Mary Rauh the AmplifiHER Award for her lifetime of service on behalf of women and girls in New Hampshire.
It's been a privilege to be part of it. I feel so fortunate to have been able to have been part of it. It's really been a great adventure. A great adventure.
Mary, a heartfelt congratulations for being bestowed with the 2020 New Hampshire Women's Foundation AmplifiHER Award. And now a few more of your many, many friends would like to congratulate you.
Mary Rauh, congratulations. I remember when I ran in 2000, and every time I came to New Hampshire, I'd look forward to seeing Mary and John, mostly Mary though. You were always there for me. Your spirit was inspirational. Your competence was gigantic. And I think about my time in politics, the few people who I actually really felt loved almost was, or maybe John, if you don't mind, it was you, Mary. And I want to thank you for your service to the state, but more importantly, your service to your fellow human beings. You're an extraordinary person.
Hi, it's Pete Buttigieg here in South Bend with warm congratulations to Mary Rauh on receiving the 2020 AmplifiHER Award from the New Hampshire Women's Foundation. You know, Mary's reputation precedes her, and I have admired her ever since getting to know her and John during the course of the campaign. Earning her support was one of the best moments in our New Hampshire race. What I appreciate most about her, of course, is her decades-long commitment to fighting for justice, for gender equity in New Hampshire and beyond. She's served in more roles than we could possibly mention, and of course helped launch and grow the New Hampshire Women's Foundation, an organization that has played such an important role in shaping lives across New Hampshire. Mary, thank you for your tremendous leadership, for your advocacy and philanthropy on behalf of women and girls, and all of us. And congratulations again on receiving this very well-deserved honor.
Mary, your celebration would not be complete without hearing from some of your biggest fans.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm glad you're not biased.
A little bit biased.
Love you guys. Aren't you sweet?
Nice to see you. It's quite impressive.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
There we go.
Grammy.
Congratulations.
Hi. Cheers. Cheers indeed.
Cheers.
Yes, here we are.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, thanks, Lucy. As busy as you are, that's really cool. Really cool. Wow.
Are we live? Are we?
Yes, you're live, Dan. You're on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hi, Mary. Surprise.
Your moment.
Sorry, folks. Missed the cue there. Maya Angelou believed that if you find it in your heart to care for others, you will have succeeded. Mary, you have always lived and exemplified that and go far, far beyond. It really is remarkable to hear about how much you've done for the Women's Fund, especially because at the same time, you have given endlessly to your family, to all of us, and really raised 4 boys to men. Of course, I'm including most especially Dad, but he is somewhat of a work in progress, so we're going to give you an asterisk on that. But regardless, you do it all with such seeming effortlessness and endless supplies of your signature Sunapee salad and bottomless cookie jars for all. Congratulations on this honor, and we love you very much.
Thank you, Dan, so much. My goodness. Wow. Love you. Love you. Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, how are you, Brooks?
I'm great. It's so wonderful to see this program we've been watching on Facebook Live, and the work of the New Hampshire Women's Foundation is just profound, and it's really wonderful to share all the work that you've done with them and see it. But I just want to say, my mom never talked about what she was doing. She just did it. She is the change. she wants to see in the in the little film about her father, Ben, who I spent a lot of time with. Service is doing. And my mom has always just been the person that goes and does. And it's a wonderful person to follow. Many of you it says onward really sums it up. She just goes and does. And it's a wonderful example for all of us. And we should talk less.
I'm so proud.
Do more.
That's great. Congratulations, Mom. And thinking about leadership and hearing about all the accolades you're getting, of course, everyone talks about how generous you are. So far, no one's talked about your patience or creativity, which are so important in leadership and also in motherhood. And speaking for the four of us, your four male children, I want to say thank you for everything, and thank you for your extraordinary leadership. We hit the jackpot in the mom category, so congratulations, and it's going to be a great celebration.
Very special.
Delighted to be in the group with the three of you. I'll keep trying to grow up.
We'll work on it. You guys are fabulous. Thank
Mary,
you.
thank you so very much for all that you have done on behalf of New Hampshire's women and girls. You know, there are so many of us who, quite frankly, would not be where we were today without your mentorship and your guidance. As you heard in the video, so many of us can recall numerous stories of your positivity and those little cheerings that you would do in meetings or behind the scenes. Quite literally, I'm not sure that our research policy and advocacy program would be where it is today without your support. As a founder of the Women's Fund, you were one of the first people to step forward to say that it was important that we fund research and policy. And you advocated on behalf of the Women's Policy Institute to make sure that that organization, which is now also one of our predecessor organizations, came to fruition. When we contemplated the possibility of creating a new position, a director of policy, it was Mary who was there to say, of course we have to do this work. And so tonight, I can't think of a better way for us to think about honoring you than for asking people to make donations on your behalf to our research policy and advocacy program. But before I ask you to make that donation, I want to just tell you a little bit more about what we've been doing. As you know, in 2017, we launched Women Run, the Granite State's only nonpartisan program training and empowering women to run for office. We truly believe that we have the opportunity to change the political landscape. And I have some new numbers that I want to share with you as we head into our next statewide election. This year, we launched in May our Women Run Wednesday program, an opportunity for people to join us on Wednesday nights virtually and hear from other women, elected women, who are serving throughout the state at the local and statewide level. Over 150 people tuned in to our highly successful kickoff event with Senator Hassan, Mayor Craig, and others, where we examined and elevated women's leadership during a COVID era. We highlighted the importance of recruiting more women to run for office. And you know what? People listened. In 2020, in addition to pivoting our Women Run program series online, we've grown our impact both in numbers and in trainees and in participants. Adding our 11 alumni running for re-election with our 24 new Women Run alums, we have 35 women on the ballot this year. In total, 179 Women Run alums have stepped up to run for all levels of public office, truly changing the political landscape in New Hampshire. Every single Women Run alum who was elected in 2018 is seeking re-election this year. And joining them are 80% of our alums who were unsuccessful their first time. In other words, they're not giving up. They've decided to run again. This year, Women Run candidates are on the ballot in 7 of New Hampshire's 10 counties, up from 5 in 2018. This is just one example of the way in which we are changing the political landscape through our Women Run program. And as I said in the video, Mary Rauh might very well be the original Women Run program. In addition, our research continues to expand. This summer, we'll be releasing Agenda Matters on COVID-19's impact on women and girls here in New Hampshire. And this fall, we'll be releasing the first ever Status of Girls report, a comprehensive compilation on the data that most impacts girls, so that we can make sure that the policies and laws and funding mechanisms that are there for women and girls actually reflect the needs of women and girls. But we cannot do this without you. We need your support. Tonight, you have the opportunity to honor Mary and all of our Trailblazers with a gift to the Women's Foundation. Whether your gift is $5 or $5,000, you truly can make a difference. And I'm pleased to say that tonight we have a number of individuals who've stepped forward to make a significant pledge to help us get to our total goal. Jeff and Martha Fuller-Clark have donated $10,000 towards our goal. Sue and Bob Thorison have donated $5,000. Jill and John Schiffman, as well as Hope Damon and George Chait, Sue Ratnoff and Linda Beck have also donated $2,500 apiece, as well as several individuals who've donated $1,000, meaning that they've pledged a total of $30,000 to help us get to our goal of $60,000 tonight. Can you help us get all the way? I have no idea if we're able to take a look at the thermometer again, but since tonight I am like a live broadcaster, we've been a little slow updating it, and I'm not sure if we'll be able to refresh it. We found that we had a technical difficulty, but when I last looked, we were closer to $47,000. So I think that we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, our first tonight. But know, 43,000. Know that you do have a little bit more of an opportunity tonight and tomorrow to truly make a difference. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. The Women's Foundation is only as strong as all of you are in supporting us. We invest in opportunity and equality for women and girls here in New Hampshire through research, education, advocacy, and philanthropy. By investing in us, we invest in women and girls here in New Hampshire. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for honoring Mary Rauh, Caroline Dillon, Julie Eads, and Dr. Marie Metoyer. And a special thanks to Nadine Thompson, who is willing to share Dr. Marie's story with us. Please know that after the program concludes, you will have an opportunity to take a look at the photos of all of you who've watched the gala tonight. If you haven't posted your photo yet, you have a little tiny bit of time, and certainly you can scroll through social media as well. So remember to use the hashtag NHWF GALA, so NHWF GALA, and post that to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And finally, don't forget, for the rest of tonight, you can text NHWF GALA to 44321. Again, thank you for joining us from your couch, from your dining room, whether you're in your sweats or maybe you've gotten dressed up. We wouldn't be able to do this without all of you. So thank you and have a good night.